Good morning and welcome to Inside the Hive. This is Friday, March the 27th, episode 4 of this year of Inside the Hive. And this morning we're joined by a gentleman I've had the pleasure of meeting a number of times now, Matt Tulk. Matt, as you can see on the screen, is a member of BNI Score in Stony Creek. Let me get it right. BNI Score in Stony Creek. As you can see on the screen, Matt is a Gorilla Property Services. I hope I got that right, Matt. You'll have a chance to correct me, of course. He's in the property management business, but I'm going to leave it general for that, Matt. You can introduce yourself in just a minute. He's looking for residential and commercial property management companies, and what he's trying to do is to make their lives a bit easier. I love the way you've said that, Matt. So with that, I am going to stop share. And let's get us up on the screen here, and we can then talk to each other. Good morning. Welcome. How you doing this morning?
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. Excellent. Thank you for joining us this morning. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. And I think anybody who is on today and who will be part of the video when they see it is going to be thankful that they've had a chance to hear you share your stories. So first up, we're not going to waste any time. Let's get you to tell us a little bit about who you are and how long you've been in the chapter, and then we'll get into some of the specific questions.
Yeah, so Matt Tulk, I had a background prior to starting my franchise. I was working with the government for about 15 years. Came in time for a change and was looking for a franchise opportunity or working opportunity that with a focus on kind of culture and product and service. And then, so 4 years ago, launched Gorilla Property Services, where we have a building that we're working with our property managers and residential clients. We talk about providing services from roof to roof. So everything from lawn care and snow removal up to siding washing, window cleaning, gutter cleaning, roof cleaning, and so much more to make sure that we're able to be like a one-stop shop service provider for them to provide high quality, high value services. I've been
Excellent,
in, yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, my
Oh,
bad.
no, sorry. I've been in BNI now for I'm just into my 4th year. And really kind of, as we kind of talk about BNI as it's an evolving investment, and really kind of seeing those returns year over year come back to us. So it's been a really, really great experience.
Thank you for that. Apologies for the interruption. So we'll jump into the first question. What was the turning point when you realized that BNI could be a major driver of your business?
There's been a couple, but I think the biggest thing is really as much as what we're advocating to our new visitors and potential members, it's when we really talk about it's when I've realized that BNI is the investment in the business, and not just where a lot of folks have that mentality of, well, I have to go to a meeting, I have to do this, and it's getting out of my meeting, where it's actually taking that time to make those connections within and kind of see how that's been able to help my business grow. And I know, Chris, we talked about this a little bit earlier, where, in the last 12 months now, as I've really kind of, made these shifts and really kind of focusing on BNI and other networking opportunities, but BNI as a tracking mechanism has resulted in over $130,000 in revenue in the last 12 months, which is really, really awesome. And it just shows that value and that return if you're putting those efforts in.
And specifically, Matt, what kind of efforts would you say are driving that kind of result?
It's looking at those the long-term relationships, and rather than just the one-off jobs. So like it's figuring out that you're looking for the decision makers, and those one-off jobs, as you take that time to build that relationship with folks. I was on a call last night with somebody who said, how often do you go to a job site? And when we're working with and talking about with commercial property managers and condominium managers, etc., I like to be on site because it's that connection, which I've had quite a few that have come from BNI as a result. But that connection with that property manager and that opportunity to actually talk to them and have that face-to-face time to build that long-term relationship, instead of just showing up once and leaving the job and not having any kind of not talking about where those repeat business opportunities are.
Excellent. And within the BNI chapter, how do you go about building those relationships that can lead to you giving referrals and getting referrals?
I think it's really important about being present. We talk a lot of what we're talking about with folks. It's having those one-to-ones, but it's also not just showing up for the hour and a half meeting, but actually like you taking that time there to be there a little bit after. As we talk about, we are an in-person chapter where the meeting ends at 9:30, but the number of our members that are still around at 10 o'clock is that we're still building and having those additional time to have those conversations, make those connections, and I talk about some of those aha moments when it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, I was talking to somebody last week who was looking for exactly what you were talking about, whether it was in the 60-second pitch or a conversation after, just kind of talk about different weekly events, etc. But it's really just
Excellent.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah, love it. Can you share a specific referral that led to a significant business opportunity and what made that referral possible?
Yeah. So I've had two really significant referrals through BNI. And one was actually from a BNI member who had come, who was actually subbing in for another one of our members within our chapter. And he was talking through, once he kind of realized what our services were, said, I've got to introduce you to our condo president. Because they were having like a terrible, like just some challenges, I would say, with the provider at the time. And because of that recommendation from that BNI member, we were able to connect not only just with that property manager and not just for one service, but it's actually resulted in 12-month services that we've now signed a longer term contract. So we've actually, we're going to be into a 5-year relationship with this vendor now, all because of that connection. But not only for the services that he introduced us for, but also as we talk about that one-stop shop, it's actually resulted in increased revenue and opportunities to be able to offer our other services.
Okay, that's the first one. What's the second one?
The other one was, as we say, every visitor, there's no such thing as a bad visitor. That we had somebody who came and visited our chapter. And again, he was a condo president, not what he was there for. He was there for another company that he had. But not only now has that resulted in us doing work at his current condominium place, he also had a really great friend who owns a property management company that we're now talking about 40 properties across the area that we're going to start to look to be quoting services on.
Wow, two good stories, Matt. Thank you for sharing. How do you consistently educate your chapter members so they can refer to you very effectively?
So so some areas that we can always improve on, I'm sure. But as I've really kind of geared over the last 6 months towards asking for those property managers, kind of referring to a couple of the property management companies that I'm already working with, but also looking to get connected with condominium with folks that even if they just live in a condominium complex, because then you're able to kind of find out who those who the condo board members are, who the property management companies are. And I've had members within our own chapter who, and I'm like, oh, is there somebody, is there, do you have a property that's managed by company X? And they're like, well, I know that my employee lives in a place there that's managed by this company. We've made that connection, and through the information that they have, like through AGM minutes, et cetera, we're able to find out who those board members are, et cetera, and being able to make some connections that aren't necessarily, through a direct one-on-one face-to-face, like, hey, I want you to meet Matt, but actually more so as an opportunity to be like, hey, I know that somebody lives in your community, and they're able to advocate for our services and be able to connect with them.
Excellent, thank you. What kind of habits, daily, weekly, or even monthly, have helped you stay visible within your chapter?
This is one where even with my notes, I'm like, this was like a big opportunity for me to improve. Not so much the visibility, because I'm already attending the weekly meetings. And I've had a leadership role probably pretty close to day one within the chapter. And currently in multiple leadership roles as well. Yeah. Denise is laughing. I'm on 3 roles at the moment. And then really starting to focus myself on some consistency, as I said, looking at my messaging, really kind of work on that referral ask to be very specific to not just like a property manager, but property managers that are working for specific companies within our area to be able to work with, and just and looking at the opportunity of what I know that BNI has already done for me, as I've talked a bit about, like that, like my last 12-month revenue, and adding in a few other kind of measures of accountability for me, that those returns and just that visibility and value within the chapter will continue to increase.
Yeah, that's really good points. By the way, what three roles do you have within the chapter? I know one of them, but what are the other two?
visitor host coordinator, mentor, and I'm back on the membership committee as well.
Oh my goodness, keeping you busy.
Yes.
I've seen, by the way, just as quick aside, I've seen Matt as visitor host and darn close to a master class in how to handle a room of, I think that day, Matt, it must have been 12 visitors in the room, and it was a stacked day as
Yeah.
well. And Matt had to deal with a number of people who were in similar seats. And if you ever want to find out how to handle that, definitely suggest you connect with Matt and do a one-to-one with him and hear how he did that. Did a really great job that morning.
Thank you.
So you've talked a little bit about visitors and how you approach them and the success you've had with two. How do you approach building trust with new members, though, people who've just joined your chapter?
I think we like as we see new members come in with, I think there's a lot of that kind of perception of like, let's look at, oh, we have an opportunity now for somebody to make some more connections for me, but it's really kind of stepping back and taking that time to identify kind of what their business, what their services are, and what they're there to gain from the chapter, and so and look at what referral opportunities that they have, and who they want to meet, and really take that time, especially in that first interaction with them, because we want them to, like, they've invested into BNI. They're still maybe in that kind of state of unsureness, but really making sure that they know, or that they start to kind of feel welcome, and that we and truly understand that we want to hear them. And then even like and then look, even if it's these, like, what I'd call like a micro referral, where it may be more of a lead than a referral, like start to think about who I can connect them with that'll be able to um really kind of start to show the value of BNI early on in their journey. As we do start to, we explain to them that BNI is not a 1 year commitment. Like you have to put the time in, you have to really let it evolve, and and like everything, you'll start to see your returns.
Yeah, I've got it. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit now. What's a mistake that you made early on in your BNI experience, and what did you learn from it?
um there was a bit about like just like really broad messaging where and really focused on, like, I was trying to educate people on the services that I was providing. So let's say, I mean, Gorilla Property Services, we have a full suite of stuff that we do. As I talk about that route to roof, if I was actually to start listing out our services, and there's always that caveat of and more, so it made it really unclear what it was, as far as what we actually do as a service for clients, and then just really focusing on, again, as I've been talking through the last 6 months of my referral request, really focusing on the person that I want to meet rather than the service that I want to sell.
Okay, the person you want to meet versus the service you're selling. I love the way you've said that. Final question for you, Matt. If you had to start over in a brand new chapter, what would you do in your first 90 days to set yourself up for success?
Um, so that, again, I think I go back to it's knowing what I know now, really working on that consistent messaging, and focusing on, again, the connections I want, not the services, not going in and pitching my sales pitch, but as far as, let me come clean your windows, but more so about, we know that the services are out there, who can I meet, and really take a little bit more time of connecting with the members outside of our meetings, where we know, like, that onboarding process, there's a lot of work that from BNI just to kind of get up to speed with the rules and the accountabilities and those types of things, the one-to-ones with our leadership teams, but then also which are generally focused on kind of how to be a BNI member, and take a little bit more time to just make some early on connections with the other members in the chapter.
Okay, Matt. So now you've given me another story, a new one for me to share with other members when I go out to visit chapters. Thank you for that. With regards to not trying to sell your services, but trying to be very specific about the people, the person you want to be connected with. And I love the way you've said that. If you're open to it, we do have a few minutes of time left. We've had this before, so I'll open up the floor if you have a few minutes to take a few questions. So if there's anybody who has a question for Matt, now would be a good time to turn your mic on and just go ahead and ask the question, please.
Like David Ball, would you be interested in retirement homes as being a source for referrals for you?
We work with a lot of retirement homes now, and what's the really, like, the benefit is they are, especially with some of the services that we provide, they're looking like they're a like a cared clientele area, that they need generally a little bit more service and a little bit of more attention on their properties. And so we work with a fair bit of retirement centers now, because of, and with the quality of services, et cetera, that we provide, it works out really, really well.
Okay, I've got we should have a one-to-one because I've got a company that I'm working with right now that's got 17 in Canada, 9 in Ontario. So we should have a chat.
Excellent. I'll reach out after the meeting. Thank you,
you, David. Thank you, David. Appreciate. Anybody else have a question for Matt?
I do. So, Matt, my question to you is, you have such a broad range of services that you're able to provide to your clients. What is the strangest request for a service that you've ever received?
Oh, I don't even know if I know that, Kelly.
Really? Okay. All right.
I might have some that I've heard over the years.
Yeah.
Have you ever found any like strange items when you've had to clear out maybe some vacant properties?
This is being recorded, and I don't know if that's appropriate.
Have you ever encountered any unhoused people living where you need to be clearing out?
we have, and I wouldn't say it's so much. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's so much as a weird request, but it's one of those because we have a pretty broad scope, and the relationships that we've built with our current like property managers and developers, et cetera, especially because we do a fair bit of vacant land management for developers as they're prepping properties to get ready to build on. We've had, some like, as far as cleaning out, we have had some homeless encampments and those types of things that we've had to clear out. And we've also, in fairness, we had one property from a developer that they said, we don't really want to kick them out as long as they are, keeping everything clean. So we would come around the site once a month, once a week, and the campers, I would give them a case of garbage bags every week. And I would come back the following week and they would have all the garbage bags full, and we would just load them up into the truck and trailer and haul them off. So they really made a strong effort, because it's quite hard for them to have to keep moving from site to site as they get kicked off. And that was kind of the rule with my client said, as long as everything's clean, they don't care. And then that's how we would end up managing kind of that relationship with what I'd say is an interesting clientele.
Wow, Kelly, great question. I'm going to have to remember that one for future. That is a really, really good question, and Matt, you handled that very well, and I love the way you handled that story with.
I'm lucky that Denise was on the line to help and spark some of these stories.
I would say I was good. No, yeah, I agree. I think it's good that she's here to make sure that you're staying on the straight and narrow. Anybody else have questions for Matt this morning? Now's the time.
I have one quick one. It's very impressive, Matt. How did you build your business? And I'm very interested to know what was the most difficult situation, or like the way for you to penetrate those big clients. So what was how did you manage to get bigger projects through the I know the relationship, but there is always kind of like skill that you built or learned to be able to convince those big clients to work with you.
So and what I'd say is it is through relationship building. And one of the things I was talking with Chris on the line before we got on was kind of, I've had my business now for 4 years, but I really feel like my business started kind of last January, where I made some fundamental shifts to allow me to have a little bit more time to focus on building those relationships with those larger commercial clients, where, and it's just a bit of restructuring with my staffing components, which gives me a little bit more time where I don't have to be on the job sites all the time, which is what I was doing in kind of years 1, 2, and almost 3, where year 3, I said, okay, we've really got to focus on bringing in some other crew members and folks that my crew is really fantastic, deliver really great services. And that allows me to actually spend more time to work and kind of foster those relationships that I built with the clients that I have, both like through who I've met through BNI, but also ones that I've met outside.
Great question, Louis. Thank you so much for that one. Anybody else? Questions for Matt?
All right, I got another one if no one's going to speak up here. Do you have 5 specific categories of people within BNI that you like to be associated with?
I know the ones that I need in our group, yes.
Okay.
Like that commercial realtor and commercial property management group is really great. But then I also look at like general contractors tend to be really great referral partners for us. One, because they're generally doing big jobs that they'll end up with bins and other kinds of big construction equipment on sites that when they haul everything off, there's a bit of a two-way referral opportunity because I don't do that type of work. And I have lots of clients who ask me about if I know people in those areas, but also when they're hauling that equipment off, it usually leaves a mess on their driveways and walkways, etc., that we get that opportunity to come in and clean up for them. And then roofing and siding folks and window installers. Again, once the new windows get in, we have that opportunity to come in and we'll do the work to pull all the stickers off and all the branding off and make sure that those windows are as clean as they're meant to be when they're installed. So all really, really great opportunities for us there as well.
You deal with handymen for the quick and dirty jobs, that kind of stuff, and maybe home inspectors.
Yes. Yeah. So, and a home inspector is also like, because they're going into a house and they're talking about things like, oh, the gutters are really dirty, they need to get emptied, like on the residential side, and speaking to a few other areas as well that they they're able to speak about some of that exterior work that we're able to come in and kind of help to clean up, and whether it's kind of redirecting some water flow out of the downspouts, making sure the water is actually running properly, etc. Like we have those opportunities as well.
Hey, there's a guy I know. He looks after rental properties where he gets the renter, collects the rent, that kind of stuff, and manages those properties. Would he be a good referral source for you because he may be overloaded once in a while and need to reach out to get someone to help him out?
We have a lot of different partners similar to that. We also are working with a provincial government group. That's something, again, very similar, where they're actually managing estates for folks that aren't, that they may be a power of attorney. They're managing their finances at the moment for them that don't necessarily have next of kin. But we do a lot of that kind of, what shifts into a little bit more property management than a property service, as there is, and I think, Chris, back to the beginning there where we're chatting, where we provide, the best way to kind of say what we do is we provide services for property managers. Managers are managing the properties to make sure that the services are being delivered properly. And but we've had a lot of really great opportunities. And sometimes it intertwines a little bit depending on who the client is.
I love the questions today, and I love your answers, Matt. You've been so specific with regards to the tips and suggestions for how to work a business, first of all, on the business versus in it, right? I have one final question for you. It's completely off script. You ready? If you had one piece of advice to share with, and it doesn't even have to be a BNI member, just one piece of advice to share with a business professional, what would that be?
So it's interesting because I do a lot of work with the new franchisees and we do a lot of like onboarding and stuff through our own company as we're growing rapidly is the only way to talk about it through the US. We'll be looking at probably 30 new locations this year. One of the big things, like as we're bringing those folks in, I especially now, and in reflection on kind of the last 4 years, tell them that, you have to be networking, you have to be getting yourself out there. So even when you're getting ready to launch, you have to think about, really kind of starting that crew earlier, which I wish that I did as well, and have more time to build those relationships on the front end, because it is, as a result, I'm seeing growth of, and I said earlier, my last calendar year with those fundamental changes, I've grown 200%, and on track this year to keep growing at a very, very similar rate. And I do hold that back to networking and the relationships that I've been building. So
appreciate, Matt. Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for joining us this morning. I want to thank you, Matt, for taking the time this morning to prepare for this and then to also share those stories and tips and strategies. Our next episode of Inside the Hive is Friday, April the 24th, and we'll have Andre Craig from BNI Mast on board for us that morning. So look forward to seeing you all then. The rest of you can drop off the call now. Matt, if you want to hang for just a couple of seconds, we can talk for a few minutes. But thank you all for being here this morning, and we'll see you again next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I think Joanna's going to hang in for a bit to talk to her. How do you feel about that this morning, Matt?
It's good. It's fun. It is, you know, like I said, it's fun. As much as like I know you had prepared some of the questions and stuff. I'm more of like a conversationalist. Like versus specific questions. But I love to be able to have that opportunity to just to speak about, you know, and really kind of reflect on what my successes have been.
Yeah, it's been an interesting one with regards. This morning I went a little bit off script, and I'll start to do more of that. But it's also because I'm listening to you, right? And I'm hearing from you, and you're leading me down a couple of paths. And it's interesting to see that. You shared so many specifics this morning, though, that I'm just blowing my mind on it. So thank you for that. And the people who come on board, you know, and listen to this, they're walking away with just some great insight. Me saying it's one thing, you saying it is a completely different space. So I would definitely want to encourage more of this as we move forward. Listen, I stay on for another half hour, so you can drop off if you want. We'll talk to you again soon. And thank you so much for being part of this morning.
No, thanks, Chris. I love the opportunity. So thanks so much again for letting me be part of it. Thank you.
See you again. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.